bit more progress then today. I have obviously got the paint on these chaps. At the moment, I've just done like prepped up the shields and painted the flesh with Ragarth flesh. This I'm going to paint over the Ragarth flesh with. Hang on, let me pop him back in there with flayed one flesh. This should make it sort of like a bit sort of animal hide-ish, sort of whatever. So I did gore when I painted gore and stuff. So I'm painting up them pretty much the same way. Then I'll put a wash, but I'm gonna get all the colours on because obviously I need to get the flayed one on. Then all of the bits that are currently still in primer, I'm going to paint over in German camouflage black brown, and then I'll lighten up the pouches, sorry, to a sort of more leathery colour, and then I'll sort of like they will be sort of like very dark leather all around the edges. At that point, I will then give it an all over. Oh, and do the horns sort of like scorched brown, and then sort of bone it up a bit, and then give it a wash. I might pick out the eyes before I give it a wash, and the nostrils and stuff. I don't know yet. See how I feel. But that's the plan for the next session, is to get all those bits done. Takes ages to paint these because they're so big. They're 32mm, so there's quite a lot of surface area on them. So anyway, so that's that. That's where I am with those, and these chaps are ready to go. I painted these all over with black primer. The reason is the skin. I'm painting these as with like a brown skin. So I thought, well, I'll start dark. Then anything I put over will be fairly dark. So yeah, that's them. So these will be brown, like horse flesh sort of colour. Yeah, cool. Right then, so I suppose I better answer a question. Well, there you go. That's where I am. Right then, question time. It says the question today says, what is one of your favourite painting tools? Something that you use and absolutely love. How do you use this product? How has it made you a better painter? Well, I use lots of things. I'm currently discovering the joys of using foundry paints. It's a triad system. Looks pretty good. I've used it quite a lot on the Napoleonics that I've been doing. It makes life a lot easier for me because I'm colourblind, so I can paint to a recipe. I wouldn't say that's my most favouriteest thing because there you go. That's like lots of different things. The thing that I'm probably most known for is the use of this stuff. This is Army Painter Quick Shade. Now, years ago, when I were but a nipper, I used to paint everything. Do you know what I mean? When I mean everything, I mean like eyelashes, a lot. Do you know what I mean? I've never done eyelashes, but I would spend hours and hours and hours on a single figure, even if it was just a rank and file figure. And as you can imagine, doing that, I never actually finished anything. I used to just I'd start like a unit of Empire troops, and I'd be there and painting them to sort of look like they were in White Dwarf. And I made a decent job. I mean, I worked at Games Workshop for a while as a shop painter, so do you know what I mean? I wasn't, I wasn't particularly crap, but I used to spend such a lot of time on these figures, and you'd end up. I mean, especially when you remember that sort of size of the sort of Warhammer armies that you had to do, and when you're painting something like 40 Skaven, and you're doing them sort of like with highlighting and shading on everything, it takes a while. But then I discovered Quick Shade about, I don't know, about 8 years ago, maybe 7 years ago. I discovered it,
Don't know, can't remember. It was quite a while. It was before we got flooded anyway. I was using it, and I got into it by there's a very very good historic painter called Phil Hendry, and he runs a blog, and he did a lot of the work. A lot of his miniatures are featured in like the Hail Caesar rulebook and stuff. And he's a brilliant guy, and he's really friendly as well. So if you ever go to his blog, and I might put a link into his blog, but if you go to his blog and you ask him a question, he'll be right back at you. He's a top guy. He lives in Lancaster, I think. But anyway, Quick Shade. This is what I love, and it's brilliant. I see a lot of people sort of besmirch it and say, "Oh, it's cheating! It's cheating." It might be cheating if you are the sort of person that just wants to do like 1 or 2 miniatures. Yeah, sure, because you've got the time. But when you've got to paint, like with my Prussians, you've got 32 figures in a battalion. Right, so that's one battalion of 32 figures. And when you think about the fact that each regiment will have 3 battalions in the main, so you're already up at 96 miniatures, right? When you go up to like brigades and stuff, where you got 5 or 6 battalions, and all that, do you know what I mean? And it becomes you have a lot of miniatures to paint, and to be honest, if you're painting them for war games tables, you want them tough. You don't want like the amount of handling they get. You don't really want them to be sort of rubbing off on you. And this stuff is brilliant because not only does it varnish, not only does it shade, it also varnishes, and it's polyurethane, so it's quite tough. And at first, I used to use it with I did a load of dwarves. We've got any here. I don't know. I'll have to have a look, see if I can see any dwarves. No, I'll put them all away. Oh, here you go. Right, I've got some dwarves. I'll show you. These are the first ones. Well, not the first ones, but they're pretty near as damn it, the first ones. But I don't know how good that'll come up. They come up. What I'll do, I'll take a picture of him and see. Now these are the first ones, the first batches that I did with the Quick Shade, and they came out really well. And I was dead impressed. Like I say, I'll take a photograph of these dwarves so you can see how good it came out. And I did this by dipping and shaking, which was the first sort of stuff. But I quickly worked out like things like fantasy figures, that like dwarves, it was brilliant. It really did it really well. But for the sort of like more sort of historic type figures, that didn't work. So I worked out a way of thinning it down and using a brush. So now I use it thin down and brush it on and use it as if it's like a wash, and it's really good. Anyway, that's my that's my favourite thing, and I think that has it made me a better painter? No, it hasn't made me a better painter. In fact, it's allowed me to paint less, if you see what I mean. Because now, what I tend to do is I will block in colours and maybe do one highlight, a high highlight, and then use the shade to take everything down to the right sort of levels. Has it made me a faster painter? Yes. I finished more units using Quick Shade than I'd finished in the previous 15, 20 years. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's magic. And that's what it is. It's an army painter. It's not a figure painting stuff. If you're doing figure painting for display, I'd give it a wide berth. But if you're painting armies, it's fantastic. So I think I've waffled on quite a lot this time. I didn't mean to, but I just have. So like I say, I'll take a picture of him and I'll show you one of his mates. I've got a couple of his mates still out. Don't know why they're out, but there you go. And you can have a look at it and judge for yourselves whether it's any good. All right, these were flat painted, so they're not like there's no detail on them. They're just coloured in the flat colours and then dipped, and they came out really well. All right, so that's it for this particular update. I'll catch you again in another one. Thanks. Bye.